One of the men I love, sometimes love to hate, is our guest right now. And that is Chris Bauer. We know him from Heels as Wild Bill. Chris, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate you coming on Busted Open this morning.
I mean, this is an incredible honor for me to be looking at my half-assed computer here and see all three of you guys. And I'm so grateful for your support of this show. And frankly, it's one of the, I mean, I don't know how you pick the thing you love the most about wrestling, but one of the things I love the most is something like hashtag fuck stars or or hashtag whatever it evolves into. But I remember seeing that. I mean, I try to watch AEW as much as possible. I remember seeing that in the crowd and thinking, you know, God, I wish this show could go on till I died. This is my favorite world to be in. And that's one of the reasons right there, the relationship between what's happening inside the ring and what's surrounding it.
Chris, growing up, were you a wrestling fan?
I wouldn't say I was a wrestling fan until my 20s. I appreciated it, but I played football. And it was, when I saw it, I liked it. But in my late 20s, I started to get more aware of it on an indie level in and around LA. And that's when I caught the bug. And my kid, my oldest, who is a legitimate fan, I don't even feel like I could claim being a fan if I compare myself to my son, who is so enmeshed in wrestling as an experience, that, you know, I just appreciate it. But there's a shitload about it I don't know and that I don't want to know.
Taking your level of fandom and now being involved with Heels, do you find that you have maybe a found respect for the wrestling industry or a newfound respect for the wrestling business?
I would say an exponentially higher respect, because I came into it knowing, I mean, look, this is going to be a self-serving, half-assed comparison. But before I made $5 as an actor, I did plays in New York. And what I remember about that was that our show lived and died on whether or not people bought a ticket to come see it. So the ethic of trying to create work that justified them taking money out of their wallet to show up and watch us do what we do, that's what I started to see right out of the gate in these little shows in and around LA, that there was a commitment to the people who came to watch, that I don't see how you couldn't respect that. And then when you added on to it the level of personal sacrifice, that physics ultimately were going to be the arbiter of whether somebody, you know, limped out or was carried out or walked out, I just thought, what's the deal with the language here?
It's satellite radio. You can say it.
How the fuck would you ever have anything other than straight up respect and admiration for the last 2, 3, and in many cases 4+ hours of what you just saw?
I was going to ask you again, big fan of the show, big fan of your character, because I've seen so many of what your character portrayed, of wrestlers who were famous then, trying to get another run, had substance abuse problems, were at times a scumbag, but also did it because they loved the industry. So many different you were the person searching for one more run in that industry, also because you needed it, also because you lived in a fairy tale world of it's going to go on forever. I've seen a lot of wrestlers from that. Did you have, I don't know, character study or like who I want to try to portray this as, because you did it so well?
My God. Well, thank you. That's an extraordinary compliment from you, and I really appreciate it. And I would say that if anything, sort of became part of the DNA of my relationship to that character. I don't remember the year, but there was a battle royal out at the airport, LAX, and it was late. I mean, literally like maybe almost midnight. I remember Terry Funk. I remember Jake. One guy after another walking into that ring, regardless of, first of all, the level of injury, of sacrifice, where I could see, the cumulative effect on these men's bodies before they even got into the ring was heroic to me. To a person, it was like I felt like I was seeing the first match anybody did. And so I would say that experience created such a reverence for I think wrestling in general, but what the dynamic of working together was. Everybody got their shot, everybody got their entrance. And that was the first time I kind of cued into the next level of listening, the sort of like jazz. I'm a metal fan, obviously. I'm not a jazz fan, but I've heard people describe how experts can come together and jam and create this insane thing, and that's what I saw on that. But I saw so many wrestlers at that event that I think they all became part of the DNA. And then I just watch hours and hours and hours and hours of old matches and promos in particular. And I let the character birth itself. Looking back, I can see a couple of big influences, but the character is itself. And I credit Michael Malley and Michael Waldron for that. But I would like to think that it's a tribute to the tenacity and the sort of singular maniacal commitment to the people watching. That is ultimately what that character is.
Yeah, and
full
Bill,
circle. Hang on, I was in that battle royal.
I know you were.
When I was like, wait, that I exactly know, because then I remembered I was in it. And I was also in there with wrestlers I was like, how is this person still wrestling? But wow, what a great, you brought my mind back. Also another great part, and Dave, I'll just leave you, when your character crapped his pants in the ring, our other co-host, Mark Henry, slammed me on the floor so hard, made me crap my pants.
Holy shit.
Exactly. And I was like nervous about it. I had to go to the doctor, and the doctor said, hey, did you ever hear somebody say he knocked the shit out of you? He goes, your body took such a hard slam that your shit just came out. And I didn't have to go to the bathroom. But he was just like, that's what happens, how your body has to react. So I popped big on that spot from personal experience.
Oh my God. I don't know how that doesn't happen every single match, honestly.
Chris, do you find that you have anything in common with your character of Wild Bill Hancock?
I don't know how many episodes you've seen, but his dick is way bigger than mine. That's the main.
And you were worried about cursing earlier on.
Wait, I mean, because Wild Bill mentions it on every show. So, like,
guess what? I would
if
too.
you took a drink every time he mentioned it, you would have alcohol poisoning. So
I would too. I mean, there's a lot that I relate to in that character. I would say specifically the desire to, and Tommy kind of spoke about it a little bit, but I relate to the desire to idealize the world and definitely put me at the center of it as a master of ceremonies, where I understand the difference between good and bad. When I choose to be bad, it's for a reason. I can be so bad that it's contagious and you want to be bad too. And the show must go on. And probably most uncomfortably, who the fuck am I if I don't have a mic in my hand? Like, as an actor, I'm frankly so much more comfortable saying somebody else's words than my own. And I'm so grateful to the muses that I've gotten to make a living and raise kids that way. But I think Wild Bill is so alive when he's being looked at. And at this point in his career, whether it's the guy at 7-Eleven or, 1,000 or 30,000 people looking at him, the attention is what is his lifeblood. And what's cool about Heels is I feel like one of the stories it tells is over the course of these two seasons, he even sort of surprises himself that the community of it, the family of it, the business of it has a meaning that might be bigger than his own existence. And I think that that's I relate to that too.
One thing, Chris, about this show and why I personally just need it to have a third season, because when the news came down it was canceled, I was heartbroken, and I went immediately to social media when I heard it was canceled. Is how deep the storytelling is. For those who are going to start watching on Netflix September 15th and watch season 1, the perception you have of the main characters at the beginning of this show will change by the time you get to the end of season 2. The people I hated, I learned to love, and the people I loved, I actually saw a completely different side of them. So the thing I was most impressed, Chris, and I'm guessing you were as well, that's why you want this show to go on, was how deep the storytelling is, and really how deep the personalities and the characters are on this show.
The writing is incredible. I mean, O'Malley, this guy, I think you guys talked to him, but I mean,
Yes.
He missed his calling. He should be a mayor in Tammany Hall in 1932. All he wants to do is rally people and celebrate the fact that together we can solve what we can't on our own. And it's just one of the great themes of storytelling, period. But in particular, the characters in Heels, yes. I mean, wrestling is such an amazing context to sort of X-ray who are we outside of our image of ourselves. Again, what I love about wrestling is the simplicity of knowing who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. But it's totally counterpointed, and I feel like, Bully, you've made this point really well often. It's counterpointed by the intricacy of storytelling, and the intricacy of storytelling relies on respecting how much people are paying attention, which I just think is such a great unsung trait that we have as audience members. We watch open-heartedly and intelligently, can measure intelligence in all kinds of different ways, but we know when something doesn't feel right. We know when something feels false, unsourced, unsupported. And I think Heels does a great job sort of, breaking that down. Like, you can't judge a book by its cover. We don't know what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes. At the same time, it's a good starting place to say, well, you suck and you're great. Now, what are you going to do to change my mind? And it's very patient, I think, the way Heels does it. Everybody's doing their best. Wild Bill in particular, I think you find out things about him that really surprise you. And that's often the case. Friends, family members, strangers, whatever. We can be really surprised by what that person has gone through before they cut you off in traffic. You know what I mean? So I do like that. I love the fact the show's about wrestling, but I really like the fact that it's doing its best to show you real human beings.
Chris, I know the reason why I appreciate the title of the show and what it truly means to me. Do you have an appreciation for the title Heels and what it means to the wrestling business?
Yeah, I think I have an appreciation, though I would never venture that the level of specificity of my appreciation would match yours. I would say that there's a couple things I like about the title. Number one, 9 out of 10 people that you say that, please watch this show. It's called Heels. What's it about? Shoes? So few people understand the vocabulary of wrestling at all, and certainly as it applies to baby faces or heels. So I appreciate its invitation to know more about wrestling and the vocabulary of wrestling. Do I think it's an accurate sort of umbrella title for the show? I don't know, because I don't think the show is about, I don't think the show's not about heels as I understand heels.
Not about the bad guys.
It's not about the bad guys, but it's also not about the catharsis of watching the bad guy be the bad guy. I mean, one of the things that I think I love so much about a good heel is how much relief I get, the sense of joy when you watch a heel be a good heel. Like, I'll just, recent examples. To me, and please, I'm saying this with as a total mark and an ignorant idiot, but I think MJF, he fucking blows my mind how much flow he has in that place. And I recognize, it's like when you're acting and you make a choice and you let that choice take over, and there's all kinds of spontaneity and it manifests physically. I see that in him. I mean, I'm just like, every time he leaves a ring, drops a mic, hits somebody's popcorn, steals somebody's hat, or bloodies somebody, I'm like, I find it really humbling, because I stop thinking of it as a performance. And I just think, and this is what I love again about wrestling. Here's what I walk away with 99% of the time. There's no fucking way I could do that.
So are what you saying about MJF, you just said about, I'm paraphrasing, you forget that it's a performance. Are you saying that he's able to make you hate him so much that you forget for a moment it's sports entertainment?
Yeah, he does, honestly. And
Well,
here's how
that's one of the biggest compliments you can pay to a heel.
I absolutely give him that compliment, and I would follow it up by saying, I would actually be afraid to meet him. I would actually feel nervous and afraid to be in his company.
Wow.
I felt that way about Kevin Sullivan the first time I met him, because I believed that this wrestler worshiped the devil, and I was in the business. So I totally understand that point. And here's the other part, that actors, I don't like it, this would be insane to say this, like if you were an actor and then on social media, and then I have to live that life 24/7. And you like, people like, wait, what do you mean you're playing a character? But then, no, this is who I have to be all the time. And that's another reason why he's great. Because if you go on his social media, he'll tell somebody to go fuck off.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You can't.
Oh, but to your point, Chris, with MJF, the first time MJF was ever in the studio, we had him live in studio in New York. And the way he completely ripped me apart verbally, like I don't know if I ever felt that way since like the third grade, where, you get bullied, where, somebody says something where it really hits you. Like MJF was able to do that. He hit me with some words that I felt like I was back in grade school again, getting bullied. Like he was able to do that to a 50-year-old man.
I'm not surprised. That's exactly why I'd be afraid. Fuck that. There's no way I ever want to meet him. And that's the other thing. I don't want to know that much. It's such a no man's land when you have had this privilege to participate in wrestling. It's something that you love, a little beyond, paying to watch it. It is such a mysterious, original, unique world. I want to see it. I like to see it no more than 2 rows back. But I want to stay a fan. I want to stay afraid. I want to stay emotionally engaged in a way where I feel like it ultimately honors what you all are doing. You're giving me the gift of whatever catharsis I have, and I don't want to ever sacrifice that.
In order to stay afraid, that heel needs to take his persona past the wrestling ring. So if you came face to face with MJF, do you still want to be afraid?
Yeah, I do.
That's
And
it.
that's why we need another season.
No, we need another season.
Wait till you get a load of me.
And I'm glad that you brought that up. And again, Chris, we've been saying it, and we're going to be doing it. We have another spot tomorrow, another spot on Friday, and then Monday as well. But Chris, seriously, we want to save Heels. We want a season 3 of Heels. It's extremely important. I want everybody who's listening to use the hashtag season 3 Heels. We need a third season of Heels. So Chris, thank you so much for the time. I love your work, and we'll be tweeting about it. We'll be talking about it. And again, September 15th on Sunday on Netflix, seasons 1 and season 2 will drop. And Chris plays Wild Bill. Chris, thank you so much for the time. We truly appreciate it, my friend.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it.